Hey everybody, this is An from Blackwater Aquatics, and welcome to part 2 of my how to breed and raise bettas in a Betta Splenden complex. This video will be a continuation from part 1, so make sure you watch part 1 before you continue on to part 2. In part 2, we will talk about how to power grow your fries to adults in about 3 months. I know that there are many methods that people use to grow their fries really quickly. However, I always strive to use the most practical and rational methods to raise fish, as I believe this is something that can help you in a long-term success. If you have been following my instruction in part 1, by now your fries should be about half an inch long or 2 centimeters long. Your fries should also be almost about a month old by now too. If you find that your fries are a little small, continue to do what I did in part 1 by continuously feeding them baby brine shrimp. This is because some of the methods that I use to power grow my fries will require your fries to be a certain size. So make sure you get that done first. Okay, so these are the things you're going to need for the next step. You're going to first need to find a 10-gallon tank or bigger. The bigger the tank, the better. That's because having a larger volume of water will ensure that your fries will grow larger and faster. And like I said in the past, having more water will mean that you're going to have better stability, as well as a reduction in the effect of toxic waste buildup that the fish will create. You're going to then need to add a heater and a sponge filter. A heater is going to always maintain the high temperature that I advise all breeders to use when raising their fries. That's because it will reduce the chance of diseases like velvet and ick, as well as increasing the fish metabolism. Because now that the fish are much bigger, they will produce much more waste. So at this stage, I always recommend that people use a sponge filter. Start filling your new tank with about 2 gallons of your old tank water. You want to do this because you don't want to shock the fish by putting them in water that they're not used to. Shocking the fish by putting them in water parameters that they're not used to can make them feel lethargic, lower their immune system, and cause them to get sick. Or sometimes they will just downright kill your fish. Also, make sure to turn on your heater once the water level reaches adequate level in the new tank. This way, temperature is always maintained above 80 degrees. Go ahead and add in some of the old dry leaves that you have in your old fry tank into the new Growout tank. These leaves will act as a substrate and a food source for blackworms that you will be adding in later on. After I transfer my fries into the Growout tank, I went ahead and added in some green water. Green water will be a food source for the Daphnia and Moinas that I will later on put inside this tank. Just make sure that you add in the fries before you add in the green water, because green water tend to have higher pH and you don't want to shock the fries by adding them in water that they're not used to. I then go ahead and add in some blackworms. Blackworms are one of the best food sources you can have to grow your fries extremely quick. Now I know what some of you guys are thinking. How can the fries even eat the blackworms? And how long can the blackworms even survive in the Growout tank? You see, it is actually not necessary for the fries to eat the whole blackworms. Blackworms are actually quite soft and they break apart very easily. Because of this, fries can surprisingly actually eat pieces of the blackworms and take advantage of the nutritional benefit without actually having to eat the whole blackworms. And because blackworms reproduce by fragmentation, they provide a constant food source for your fries without actually having you to do any work. I'm always a big advocate of doing things that maximizes your results with doing the least amount of work. And blackworms provide a solution for somebody like me who doesn't like to hatch baby brine shrimp every day just to feed the fries. So by putting in a bunch of blackworms in your tank for the beginning, you only need to resupply the food source once every other week. This will save you not only a lot of time, but you don't have to worry about the fries starving to death if you miss a day or two feeding them. You'll know right away if your fries have been eating blackworms by the darker coloration in their gut content. You'll also notice every day that when you take a look at your fries, they're noticeably bigger. I'm not kidding you. After about 1 week on a diet of blackworms, they can grow as much as 10 to 20%. To show you the effectiveness of blackworms on the growth of fries, you can take a look at the fries I have above. These fries I've been feeding on blackworms for approximately 2 weeks, and surprisingly, they have almost doubled their size. Of course, to maintain these kind of results, you're going to need to have an adequate space in your growout tank, as well as maintaining good water quality. Remember, your tank has a lot of bio waste accumulating, so make sure you're doing at least once a week water changes. There are some people out there who advocate the use of daily water changes. I actually don't do this. It is just too much of a hassle. I have to make sure I have enough oil water, and the slight benefit to growth doesn't seem to appear to be significant enough for me to warrant the use of daily water changes. In addition to blackworms, I also add in some moinas and daphnia. Now, the daphnia might not be able to be food source for the fries right away, but daphnia and moinas both have babies that are much smaller version of themselves, and along with blackworms, provide a constant food source for the fry to grow. Having a constant food source for the fry maximizes their potential and speed of growth, because at this stage of their life, they are primed for growth. If you missed out on maximizing their food intake in the early stage of life, you might end up with smaller than adequate adults or fish that are stunted. Before transferring your fries to the new tank, you're going to need to separate them based on size. This is actually quite important because some of the larger fries will inhibit the growth of the smaller fries, and inadvertently you're going to have some fries that are much larger and some fries that are very small. The theory is that the larger fries release a growth suppressing hormones that suppress the growth of other fries around them. Though, to be honest, I actually haven't read any papers on those, but it does sound quite valid because in my experience, that seems to be the case. If you take a look at some of the month-old fries that I'm separating here, you can see that the size is actually quite substantial. If you choose to skip this step, you might end up with fries that are so small that they stay stunted and not grow any further. Or you could end up with fries that are so small they end up becoming food for the larger fries. Once you transfer your fries into the growout tank, it is now time for the growout stage. This stage would last for approximately 2 to 3 months, and during this time, you're going to want to feed them a high quality live food like blackworms, baby brine shrimp, daphnia, and eventually even pellets. Like what I had previously said, make sure that you are giving them food on a daily basis. Try not to miss a day of feeding, and try to feed them multiple times a day. This will ensure that they will have maximum outgrowth. When it comes to water change, I tend to change the water once a week, about 25%. Although sometimes, if the water is really dirty, I'll change it 50%. Try not to do a 100% water change unless you know the water parameters are exactly the same. And if you're doing everything right, at about 1.5 months, your fries should be a little bit bigger than an inch. Once you've been growing your fries for almost 3 months, you're reaching the sub-adult stage. At this stage, the fries are looking pretty big. The fins are starting to show the characteristics of the adults, and you can probably tell the males and females apart. This is the time where you gotta be really careful about making sure the tank stays clean, because there's going to be a lot of waste buildup. So make sure that you are vacuuming the bottom of your tank along with your water changes. Once you see that they have been reaching a decent size, you're going to want to start jarring them. I like to jar my male as soon as I can while leaving the female behind. The reason is because if you leave the males, even the subadult males, in with the other subadult males, there's going to be some sparring and you're going to end up with males with missing scales or permanently torn fins. When you have a chance, make sure to separate the smaller fish from the larger ones. That way, like I previously said, the smaller fishes won't remain stunted. Once you jar them, and by jarring I mean isolate them in their own individual tanks, they'll begin to color up and become very territorial. This is when you can reduce the amount of food you could give them every day to maybe 1 or 2 pellets a day. Try not to overfeed them. So they're actually healthier if you don't overfeed them. Make sure you give them plenty of opportunities to flare, and enjoy the benefit of your hard work by looking at your beautiful fish. And that's gonna be it, guys. If you have any questions, please let me know in the comment below. I'm sorry that it took me a while to release this video. I was quite busy with a lot of things going on in my life right now, but I'll try to crank out one video every week. And finally, I'm going to do a giveaway for the fish that I bred for this video. To find out how you can enter, just make sure you follow me on Instagram and I will show you the instruction. Like always, guys, thank you for watching and supporting me.